Hey now.
Hey now.
Mike.
Come on, Mike.
Oh yeah. I get
now.
a hey now. Hey now.
Hey now's all around for another edition of IoT Nuggets with BH IoT Group.
Hey.
Woohoo! And this is actually segment 2 of our series with Mr. Mike Lawless from DCS. In the first segment, we talked about why DCS, a little background on DCS, direct communication solutions, dcsbusiness.com. And today, we're going to talk a little bit more about the solutions portfolio. We're going to get into some of the solutions that DCS provides. And yeah, that's really it. So
That's really it.
I'm going to pass it on and dig right into it. Go ahead, Stephen. Mike.
So, all right, Mike, on to segment 2.
Yeah.
DCS takes a different approach to hardware and solutions and the services that you provide. Give us a high-level view of what that looks like. Why is it different than everybody else?
Yeah. Again, so going back to the solutions, right, Stephen? That I like to say we take a different approach to hardware, right? We've seen so many vendors out there provide SKUs, right? And it's just, hey, I need 10 of these and 10 of that or whatever. What I like to, when I'm asking people, and our team is asking those questions, really using a solution sales methodology, right? Of asking a question, confirming the answer, controlling the conversation, next, right? And moving through it, is that we're really looking for those pain points, right? And trying to understand what those pain points are. And then I discussed earlier really about going into our bag of what we have. And we talked a little bit earlier too about the supply chain issues, right? And really what that means for us, right? Because it's not always new use cases. Sometimes you're in the middle of a deployment and you can't get anything else, right? So, another great thing with our team here, right? And we've really got just a great roster of industry veterans who have the contacts and the expertise to go out into the market and find those solutions. So I like to say that we take a different approach to hardware, meaning that we're looking for those pain points, those solutions, working through exactly what they need, right? Not over communicating this manufacturer or that manufacturer, right? And saying, okay, you need this, that, and the other thing. This is your price range or whatever. Got it. Here's the solution, right? So it's a different approach, I think, in that we're, I think it's Boiler Room is one of my many great sales films that I go to for inspiration. And I think one of the lines was telling ain't selling, right? And it's, stop talking, start listening, and start asking questions, right? So we really try and train people to ask more questions, listen, have a little empathy, a whole lot of gratitude, and let's find the solution to people's problems and not provide them with another problem.
Within the industry, we hear a lot of sayings or expressions around what we provide clients, and single pane of glass is no different. I mean, everybody uses it. Why should we think that your DCS single pane of glass brings more value? But what do you guys provide?
Yeah. The single pane of glass approach, right? I mean, that's it, right? That's what everyone is after, the single pane of glass, the single pane of glass. I think what we're really doing is fusing that with the managed services approach, right? And what is managed services, right? And that means it's really the connectivity piece and keeping, because that single pane of glass, right? That's the interface that the end user has, right? That's their dashboard. That's their visualization of what's happening. I mentioned in the first segment also about being iconic, right? It being intuitive, it being interactive. And that's a great alliteration, but that needs to be included in that single pane of glass. Also in that single pane of glass, there needs to be the managed services component, right? And what that means is behind all of that, there's the wizard, right? That's actually making everything happen, keeping that uptime, keeping everything moving, keeping the data parsing, right? And that's what we do, right? So it is the single pane of glass approach. but also with that, there's a managed services component, and we want the end user to see that as well. We want that transparency so that they also feel and understand that they have some control over what's happening, and they're not just a customer, right?
So one of the things that is really cool about DCS is this lab that you have that allows customers to really view different products and different solutions and different offerings. Tell us a little bit about how that is unique and the advantages that you have in the industry by having that.
Yeah, that's a good question, Steve. Thank you. Yeah, our lab, or our lab services, really, it's almost an incubator, right? It's where we want the problems to happen, right? It's a discovery lab, right? So we like to put everything through its paces. I talked in the first segment also about us testing everything. So that lab environment gives us the ability to do pretty much anything and put these devices outside of just a bench test environment. Put the SIM card in. Is it connecting? Yes. How long is it connecting? It's actually working, right? It's stressing that device with heat, with making sure the IP ratings stand up. It's trying to break some of this stuff as well. And it goes back to the same thing, right? We want to have that level of confidence that we're selling a solution to the problem. And I can't tell you how many times when I'm probing and I'm asking questions and they're telling me their pain points, I'm like, well, you bought a problem from somebody. Now you have two problems, right? You got another problem. So we don't want to sell a problem. And part of our lab services, methodology is really to put the devices through its paces, have people testing it, and then really being able to show and with a level of confidence explain, and with a little bit of empathy again, we understand your problem. We've seen it work this way. Here you go.
I've heard you bring up several times ITNE. What does that mean?
Oh, cool. Yeah, great. So good segue, right? So part of our solutions, right, and part of our, I'll call it our down channel, is we work with many resellers, dealers, and then carriers, right? And carriers, the guys like you and I mean cellular carriers, right? And they have their own channels as well. So ITNE is a great partner of ours that's actually in Guam and Saipan. So they're plus 17, right? So a lot of times I'm cooking dinner and I'm on the phone with somebody in Guam because it's about 9 a.m. there. But ITNE is they're the cellular carrier for Guam and Saipan. And what's really interesting about them is they're more than a carrier. They are a technology consultant, right? They are a trusted advisor for all of the industries that are on Guam and Saipan. And it being a small island is kind of peripheral to what they do because so many goods move through that area, right? Military bases, so much military infrastructure is there and on that in that area. So ITNE, we've got some great projects going with them. One, and again, you were going to say something?
It sounds like an extension of the lab. I mean, are you utilizing them for those kinds of?
It kind of is, right? Because it's an island for one thing, right? And they have every need, right? And they have municipal buses, and they have APL Group or American Presidential Lines is one of their customers that collectively we're working with, and APL is the cargo transportation company, right? And we're working with all of their chassis on their trucks to help them understand the logistics of or managing the logistics of where all their goods are. There's Guam Waste Control, right? So they're trash trucks, and understanding not only where are the trucks, but what's going on with the trucks. Is the dumping, right? Is the lifting? Is the plowing? What's happening with those devices?
Excellent.
There's a lot of really interesting projects that they get involved with there, and it is kind of an offshoot, I guess, of our lab where it's real world.
Excellent. Awesome. All right, Mike, thank you very much for the end of this segment. We're looking forward to the next segment where we're going to talk a little bit more around emerging solutions, emerging technologies, and how DCS is involved in that. So excellent job. Got the second segment down. And Doug, this is what it's all about with IoT Nuggets. We keep on bringing new companies, new ideas, and new new educational aspects to the people that are viewing us on YouTube and LinkedIn and everywhere else.
For sure. Well, and it's such an exciting space because there's always new developments and technology moves very quickly. So when you find the companies that are on the leading edge of it and making things happen, it's very exciting. And we're going to get into that in the next segment where, as you said, we're going to talk about what's down the road with emerging solutions. So we're really excited to hear Mike talk about that a little bit. Thank you all for tuning in once again to IoT Nuggets. Make sure to connect with Steve and John Hubler and their crew at bhiotgroup.com. You can also go to dcsbusiness.com to learn more about DCS. And if you have expertise or an IoT deployment that you're looking to bring to market or some things that you want to come on here and talk about and share your story, let us know. We're looking for guests, and we'd be happy to have you. So once again, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you on the next episode with Mike here on IoT Nuggets.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.